Guys, thanks for coming in. I am ecstatic to have you both in. Now, you and I have done an interview together. You're filming your own videos, but today you brought the true rock star in, your wife, Stephanie. So, Stephanie, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It's always great when we can have a spouse or a partner come in and share their side of the journey. And, you know, in this day and age, people get kind of maybe pessimistic, maybe cynical, and kind of think, I wonder if their marriage really is good. So today you get a chance to kind of share what life is really like. So let me ask you, how long has it been since disclosure?
So almost 20 years since disclosure.
And now, what I get from a lot of people who are trying to heal is they say, you know, will we ever love each other again? Will we ever enjoy each other again? Or are we just going to be less sad? Are we just going to grin and bear it, stay together for the kids? Or as we said off camera, well, God hates divorce, so I'm just going to grin and suck it up even though we hate each other, right? So what is it like, right? What is it really? And these guys, these viewers, they want the good, the bad, the ugly. So
Yeah.
I know you're not one to sugarcoat it.
No, and I won't sugarcoat it. I mean, I'll say seasons of life, right? So yeah, there's a season that you grin and bear it while you're figuring things out, while you're letting God lead, while you're doing what you need to do for yourself, but self-care aspects. But tied to the will it? The answer is yes. Like I said, we look at each other now, and it's like at the end of the day, this is the person that I want to spend my time with. This is the person that I want to watch a movie with, have a glass of wine with, go to dinner with. And we notice that more and more. And we're on the verge of being empty nesters. So we are enjoying our last child at home, but we're looking to that future and we're building that future. And I'm so happy, honestly, that we're on the other side of a lot of this stuff. We still talk about it, but we talk about it in a spiritual growth way more than a tearing each other down way. Hopefully that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And you said off camera that you both have done your work. And, you know, we talked about some work that you've done, but a lot of times there's this misconception that says, look, you cheated, you had the affair, or you're an addict, so you go do your work and let me know when you've done that work and we'll get back to living. But I loved what you said off camera, which was you had to do a lot of work too. So talk about the work that you've had to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, the interesting thing is when it hits the fan, and it can be any aspect of infidelity or whatever it is in a marriage, you know, you go to a place of you're in the hole, you're in the pit, you're sad, you're mad, you're raging, you're the least of anything you love about yourself. I mean, you really are. You feel so worthless and so unable. And so then as you begin to heal, right, it's like, what are the things that help me pull myself out of the pit? Because truthfully, he's in his own pit. My expectation to have him help me pull myself out of my pit, that just doesn't work. It can't happen. I've got to do enough to get myself out of the pit before I can begin to move on. Is that, you know?
I love that you said that, because so often we all, unfaithful or betrayed, we can expect our partner to pull us out rather, and I call it being married to the victim mentality or allowing our past to victimize us. But talk about that, because I think that's a huge point that not a lot of people like to talk about, that you can't look to your partner to pull you out of your own pit. Talk more about that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, well, I think about it on a level of a physical, a spiritual, and emotional, right? Self-care in those three areas. And I can say it so clearly now looking back, right? When you're in the pit, you're kind of like just literally eyes closed, feeling your way through it. Or as actually our original therapist used a great visual, which was if you imagine that you are in a room and an explosion has happened, there's smoke everywhere. You know that there are pieces that need to be picked up, but you can't even see those pieces. And then if you go on kind of a spiral staircase that gives you that perspective, the smoke begins to clear, and all of a sudden now you can piece things together. That for me was so awesome, because I was like, that's my life, right? I can't see it. I can't begin to put it together, But my personality was, I have to do something. So it was spiritual Bible studies, just where's God in this for me? It was working out. It was doing physical activities, getting out of the house and getting out of my own brain, which is where the physical activity, whether it's jogging, tennis, whatever it is, he actually even paid for me one time to have a boxing coach, which I will tell you was the best outlet ever.
Absolutely. It is so practical that we can't see how helpful that can be. I've told women and men, go get a punching bag and hang it in your garage and beat the crap out of it. If you can get it out that way, you won't maybe project it onto your spouse or partner.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, we're hearing from the rock star, and I'm sure, talk about what it feels. I mean, as an unfaithful who we both know, you blew up your life, I blew up my life, the wreckage is immense, you live with it every day, but what's it like to sit here, and I know that you've done this before, but what is it like? What goes on inside of you to sit here and hear her so eloquently, so calmly, and really courageously share what she's walked through?
I feel very proud that Stephanie chose to do the work, and you see the results. I mean, you see her and her spirit, her energy, is just amazing. And I feel, just grateful, a lot of gratitude that, as she said, I'm with the right person.
Well, and I think it's evident the tenacity, the resilience that is just from knowing you as a woman. It's just all over you, the courage and the bravery. Now, what the viewers don't know, and we're going to talk about what is an enormous nuclear bomb, is you actually had a mistress become pregnant and have a child from the affair partner. And I have email from people for 10 years wanting help with this. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to start with you and ask you, what was it like when you found out that there was a child and your whole world changes? And this isn't something that you just control your thoughts and make go away. I mean, this is a permanent consequence that you have to live with in some shape, fashion, or form. So how did you handle that? What was that like?
I mean, the truth of the matter is there is no right. There's no right answer. There's no right or wrong, because every story has a different little, everyone's story, as much as we could say, oh, we all are in this basket because the affair partner got pregnant or whatever. But there are different situations of where you're living, all of these different pieces. For us, you have the initial. It wasn't just, oh, my affair partner's pregnant. I was also then introduced to the phrase of sexual addiction. It was the first time I'd ever heard that. So I was wrapping my head around all of this information. First time I had heard about prostitution tied to Mickey's life. And so, all of that's thrown at you. You do the best you can initially. And I have often told couples that we've met, through affair recovery, I use the phrase core family unit. I use it a lot when making decisions about your family. And you can start off with core family unit being you and your husband. You can widen that out to be your kids. But any decisions that you're making when you're first going through this, and it's not about trying to discount the affair partner or the child, but you've got to figure out what your home base is. And making decisions as a unified front does make it a little bit easier. Just recently, I will tell you, on one of our calls, our Beyond EMS calls, that one of the couples introduced a phrase that I actually got printed up on a sheet of paper because I loved it so much, and it's us against the problem.
I love that.
And it's kind of like a mantra that I thought, no matter what we go through this, if he and I can go, it's us against the problem, and we bring it to God, and we're honest with each other, wow, right? It just flips it. And no matter every step of the way, every decision that you have to make, if you can, as a couple, say it's us against the problem. I want to be really clear. I'm not saying that the child that results is a problem.
Sure.
But for some of us, it is because of circumstances.
Absolutely. As you sit here, again,
right.
I feel like there's two conversations like, hey, rock star of bravery and enormous resilience and overcoming. And hey, screw up to screw up, sidebar.
Right.
When that happened, when you were made aware of it, and you shared in your video that you and I did about, when you're sitting in front of your wife and your mistress and now there's a child, you kind of come to the point where you go, I think I have a problem. What was it like to watch her process through everything when you've basically taken the grenade, pulled the pin out, laid on it, and just blown up your own life, and now you've got your person who's watching this? How did you process through it?
Well, we get a lot of help. I mean, it's definitely overwhelming and more than I can handle. So getting help from a therapist and of course in that case lawyers on what is the appropriate steps, what is the law. But then, it's a really literally when I think back, it was okay. She's about to have a baby. We want to support that, make sure it's healthy, and then the passport. We actually had some disagreements about that, whether. My feeling was he should get a passport. He's my son. I'm an American citizen. And so it's kind of a step-by-step thing as you go through it. And you work with it. And then, of course, in Peru, my mistress needed permission every time she traveled with him out of the country. So that was an ongoing saga.
Another layer to it.
Well, this was, when you talk about a hero, I mean, Stephanie, we decided she was going to be the intermediary.
What is that like? Oh my gosh, talk about that.
Well, I actually learned that through Rick and some of the conversations of fair recovery, because it took the fear out, right? If I became the point of contact, it became more about business than emotion, because, and I know that sounds weird because clearly I did have an underlying emotion, but I didn't have the fear of her and Mickey. And the more that I saw Mickey's path in his recovery, that actually lessened over time. But it was also removing opportunity for the affair partner to manipulate Mickey. And it kept it a little more businesslike, I would say. And over time, that brought a little bit of comfort.
I would assume that it would. I can't believe that you were willing to do that. Again, let me get another medal here.
I don't need that.
But you did say something that was really great. You said, due to his work and his path. So what were you seeing from him? Because I think it's important for the unfaithful or the addicts to kind of see what his work meant to you, because we can sit here and go, oh my gosh, are you a cyborg? Are you human that you handled that so well, and we're just willing to do that? Because many betrayeds would be like, hey, your choice, your problem, you fix it, but you stood right in the middle and said, I'm going to have a piece of this. But talk about, what did his work mean to you?
Yeah. Okay, well, I also want to lead in that I'm pig-headed and I'm stubborn. And I can take a licking and keep on ticking. And so, and as cheesy as that sounds, I think that there is an aspect of resilience, of growth that you just learn as you go through it. But we have talked often about Mickey's recovery and it hitting stages, it hitting moments where there's growth and then there's backsliding. And he wasn't really in a formal program for a while. He was doing the best he could with the resources that he had, and eventually that caught up with him. And it caught up with me, and I had to put that, line in the sand. And it was like, I can't keep doing this the way that it's going. It needs to change, it needs to be fixed. And that conversation only happened one time, maybe two. But he then took the lead, and he was putting all these efforts in, and to the point where I was like, okay, hey, 5 meetings a week is a little over the top. But I realized that when he was going and what I was seeing come out of it,
right,
I started to feel safer and safer. There were times that I thought, oh God, I think you like those guys better than you like me. But as I said, the end result was so much better, and it was linking us together. I actually felt, not like your partner in sobriety, because that sounds really unhealthy, but you were sharing with me, for sure, I think in the healthiest ways possible, about this thing that had overtaken your life. And these conversations were different. They weren't guided by the hurt. It was like, oh, we can. Again, us against the problem, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And working towards that. So that the safety that created is actually what opened the door to trust rebuilding. And that was like, phew, like that was a game changer. And I think we both really started to feel that.
So the phrase that comes to mind is you can't talk yourself out of something you behaved yourself into, which early on, that's a really hard thing to accept. I can't
Say it again. We're going to need to hear that again.
You can't talk yourself out of something you behaved yourself into. Because in the beginning, many times the unfaithful is like, look, I've learned my lesson. I'm never going to do it again. You can trust me. You know.
Why do we say that? We've just proven that we can't be trusted, but yet we keep saying, you got to trust me. You can trust me. Why? We've just proven that we can't be trusted.
I think it's a natural response. I wanted things to get back to normal as soon as possible. I don't like this place, this space
Let me
of
fix
pain.
it. Let me fix it. I got to fix it.
I've really seen what I did wrong, and I'm never going to do it again. And so you're trying to fix it with your words. And for me, that had worked in the past. I was good with my words. I thought I was. And so the real transition comes with, okay, I need to really get serious about my program, and it's a program of transformation. I can behave myself out of something I behaved myself into, which means what Stephanie said, the things I saw coming out of him, the behaviors, the choices, the attitudes, you know. So then, I can see that and trust that. But that comes from the work. That comes over time. That's not a quick fix or, I read a book or I listened to a tape and, I'm good now,
So you said in the interview that we did that you were living in the solution.
Right.
I love that phrase. I think it's just, it is a quintessential phrase of there is hope.
Right.
You can live again. But for you as a couple, now you're living with someone obviously that, you guys, there's a child from the affair partner. He's, been unfaithful. He's admitted he's a sex addict. It can be very overwhelming and very dark to process all of that. But here you are, 20 years later, living in great joy. We're having a great time just, talking about the most painful time period of your life. But what does living in the solution look like for you? How do you live in the solution with so much that's happened?
Well, and I think as we've gotten older, identifying that we have a common goal. We both want to work towards that goal. Being on that path together, being able to talk about it. I mean, I've grown so much through Mickey's path. I've had to challenge myself to step up. I mean, there are times where he's zoomed down the road ahead of me, spiritually, emotionally, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's impressive. I got to catch up, And I want to catch up. I want to do my part.
So you're saying he was working so hard that it kind of challenged you.
Yes.
And that's
100%.
Man, if there's so much in this interview that is just, I love it. But that part right there, I think if more unfaithful, if we would grab hold of what our work conveys, what did it, because I just want to stop you because it's so good. What did his work ethic, that zooming down the road, what did that convey to you?
Commitment. I would say first and foremost, commitment. Sincerity of where he wanted to be and what he wanted for our family. Nobody puts that much time and effort and work into it if they don't want a positive result. I mean, I've met some of the guys. I know some of the guys that are in the recovery programs because they've been in our life now. We've actually become friends with a lot of these people. It's kind of it kind of creates a safe place, right? And I think that's why we're drawn to always talk about our story, is what we've seen is when we bring our pain up front and we're honest about it, it gives people the freedom to also bring their pain. But then by doing that, you're just real and you can laugh about it and you can talk about it. And so seeing Mickey, I think, change. I mean, the truth is you classic avoider for so many years, and then being able to bring stuff to the table that I know it's not easy for him to do because it's so against his nature, but he did it. And it was like, wow, I'm seeing this change, But Mickey's heart has always been the same heart. And I think that's what keeps me knitted to him, is I love who he is at his core. And I think just seeing that willingness to do the work, it created safety and trust building, 100%.
It's a real somber, emotional moment to sit here after all she's been through and to say to you, like I feel my own self getting emotional, that you would say, I love him at his core. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. Mm-hmm. I mean, the core, I feel the weight of that. And so when you live in the solution right now, yes, you've done your own video, we've talked about it, but when you hear that, what goes off inside of you as a man, as we both know, fallen, screw-ups, we've made so many mistakes, but now we're living in the solution. But talk about that.
Well, the question is, wow, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, wow, there's a lot of work. Is it worth it? And the answer today is hell yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so worth it. Yes, absolutely yes. Okay, you can stay sober and not make the same choices, great. But then the blessings, the upside is that. That's the upside that's in, I couldn't script that. I couldn't pray for that. I couldn't imagine that. And so it's above my expectations. It's far exceeded.
Better than you deserve.
Right, for sure. And so it's a hearty yes, it's worth it. To anybody out there that's facing that mountain, like, wow, I have to face this workload ahead that, wow, it seems bigger than I am. I'm not sure I can make it. It's like, go for it. The results, definitely, the outcomes that you just shared and witnessed, yes, it's worth it. That's the answer.
There's something I love to do. We did it in his interview is, if you were out there in the audience 20, 21 years ago, and you were watching a video like this, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to the betrayed men and women who are trying to process this nuclear bomb, maybe even multiple nuclear bombs, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to wrap their mind around it. Take just a couple minutes and what do you think you needed to hear back then?
Well, I know. I remember very distinctively that whole idea of, can you survive this? That thought, and trying to find someone. Is there a living example of someone who's made it to the other side? That's what I searched for initially, like everywhere. Back then, I don't even know if fair recovery existed when we went through it. The internet did exist. Yes. And you go searching. I think that, hey, it's a plug for you guys, honestly, because the truth is, if there's a place that they want to come to find living examples, there's a plethora of that through a fair recovery. Knowing that you can do it. I think that there are people that exist that have gone through this, that are in a much better place. Not just, the whole not just surviving but thriving thing, but it is hard work. I'm not gonna lie, right? Yeah. It's hard work on both sides. And as the betrayed spouse, you kind of come into it and yeah, there were many times I was super resentful that I had to do any work. But every step of the way, I'd get over that obstacle and be so thankful of what I learned, of what I felt. I felt more, not just stronger, but I think my faith grew. My connections with, even with friendships, I think I'm just more raw and honest in those friendships. And so the quality of those friendships are better than they had been before in my life. And I think that if that's alone is a walk away that I have, I'll take that, all the time. And I just love working with him in this way. And I think it's why we just tell our story so much. If anyone takes anything from what I've just said and it inspires them or it gives you that grain to keep moving forward, it's just worth it, is all I can say.